hello. I don't know. Somewhere I watched that the first 5 seconds of the video is critical to grab your attention. So, I don't know. That wasn't very, like, catchy. But I thought I'd try something different because I want your eyeballs on the screen. Pay attention to me. Actually, probably not, because these blogs are like can be quite embarrassing sometimes. But I'm the master of embarrassing myself. I've done it several times these past few weeks. For instance, over text, I sent a classmate that I was like talking to that I also, like, the previous year I met on Tinder, but then nothing really happened. And then now we're in this class together and we're just talking at night, and I sent her half a photo of like my journal, saying that like when I can't sleep I like to journal, which is true. And then she's like, I want to see more of your journal. So then I pulled up my picture journal. And what happened was that I sent her a photo of this pink-haired girl that's like mostly nude. And she has pink hair. So she thought that was supposed to be her. Now, that wasn't the only photo that I sent, but it was one of them, and it caught her off guard. So she called me a creep, and now she doesn't like me, like, as a person. And, yeah. So now we share a class together, but we don't speak, which kinda, God, sometimes it feels like you regress or you repeat the patterns of your childhood, which, as a kid, there was this time that I told one of my friend's crushes that that he likes her, and he wasn't very happy with me. So then he wouldn't speak to me for a bit. Yeah. And I'm like, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I'd like sent a note to him in class, like, I'm so sorry. And he just gave me a dirty look and then walked away. Like, oh, the silent treatment. I can't take it. Yeah, so. Embarrassment. What's your most embarrassing stories? I'll share another one. This one is a classic for me. In high school, I was really into health and fitness. So I would drink these green smoothies. Now, this green smoothie was just purely kale and water. Not really what you would call a smoothie, just blended up kale, basically. I drank that like 20 minutes and then I went for a run. And I'm like, Mr. Stark, my gut doesn't feel so good. When I was like far away from home. So what then started to happen was I had a giant load in my anus and I couldn't take it any longer. And no matter how hard I tried to suppress it, it just kept on coming out until a huge, juicy chunk sat right between my ball sacks and my buttocks. Now, what did I do? I had to get this giant load off of me. So I was at the top of a big hill, and I had to hide behind this mailbox that was like still somewhat visible because it was off of this busy street. But I felt like I hid well enough to just slide the underwear just off of my pants, like having my hands like pulling the underwear off of my pants and then sliding it down one of the legs. And there my underwear laid to rest. But before that happened, there was a lady that was walking by. And I'm like, can I please use your washroom? Because it looked like she was walking home. And like, I don't blame her for saying, no, sorry, I can't help you. So I was a bit hurt. Like, oh, my one chance to have some, you know what? That's probably better. It probably might have been more embarrassing. So then what happened was I had just had to run down this big hill down to my home with fecal matter dripping down my pant legs. And I have no idea if anybody knew what just happened, because it wasn't too visible. And you know, when people are driving their cars, they're not looking at people's legs, right? So, embarrassing stories. I have plenty of them, because I like to do things that embarrass myself, either through self-sabotage or just because I think it's funny, or I just don't care. Just simply don't care. Because what I believe is that in the end, nothing really matters, right? There's infinite time behind us, infinite time in front of us. When we die, it's just pure nothing. Eternal abyss. Just like what it felt like when we were born. Nothingness. Absolutely nothingness. So, in the end, nothing matters. And particularly why I call my channel Meaningless, right? I wanted to call my channel Meaningless Existence because that's what I normally go by online for the past couple of years. You know, because I'm a existential nihilist. But I tried to be a optimistic nihilist, right? So, I don't know. Philosophy is like a big part of like my life. It can lift me up. It can also destroy me. There's intrusive thoughts that haunt me, but also lift me up, right? It's all about perspective. Perspective is huge when it comes to responding to any sort of stimulus, right? You can view any event, any action, anything you sense in various ways, right? You can view pain as a good thing, and you can view pleasure as a bad thing. It's all up to you. We all get to choose how we respond. Now, I did not think that this video would take this turn, because really, I just slap on the camera and say, hey, I want to do a vlog. I want to talk. Now, I had some things in mind that I was thinking about talking about. Like what, you might ask? Like the whole process of letting people down, letting yourself down, right? When you say you're gonna do one thing, but then you do another thing, you just lied to yourself. And this is what Bruce Alamo talks in his book, Conquer from Within, is that every time you let yourself down, you dip into that valley. And the more you do it, the further down you go. The harder it is to get yourself up again. So the trick is to not lie to yourself and to not lie to others. Now, I've been doing this way too much. I've been lying to myself and I've been lying to others. Like, I've been saying I'm gonna go to this, but I don't. I'm gonna do this, but I don't. I feel this way, but I don't. And every time you do that, it's kind of like a sin. It leaves a mark inside of you, a little black mark that adds up, and it creates this big ball of negativity inside of you, and it pushes you down. It's like, I can't trust a single thing I say, and you can't trust a single thing I say. It makes you unreliable, and when you're unreliable, that kind of sucks, because people can't depend upon you, and it hurts. And it really does hurt. Like, I feel like I've been letting so many people down. But they say that the person that you have to worry about most with letting you down, following me, is yourself. You cannot let yourself down. And I've been doing all of the above. And I'd really like to change things for the better, obviously. And if you're doing this too, I'd hope that you'd like to change things for the better too. Try to think, like what my friend told me the other day is like, you always have to keep trying new things. Like when you fall down, like, as long as you're trying new things to get yourself back up, then that's learning, that's progress. Now, if you just keep on trying the same thing over and over again, that's Einstein's definition of insanity that we all know. So, I guess the whole, like, YouTube thing is a form of trying a new way to get myself back up. Is talking to the camera, because, you know, I have so many people I can talk to, but I shut people out. I have bad tendency to shut people out of my life and withdraw from everybody, because socializing can be exhausting. It can also hurt. When you know that, when you feel like you're just not good enough. Or when I just get into this mindset of just escapism. Like, I live with a contradiction, and I'm a hypocrite when it comes to escapism. I am anti-escapism. I believe that we all must, not all of us, because that's a very broad brush that I don't want to stroke upon everybody, because even escapism has its purpose, its value. But most of the time, I believe that escapism tends to do more harm for yourself and for the world. Like, when you put so much emphasis on these fictional worlds, or just tuning everything out, then you're not really helping anybody, and you're not even helping yourself. Like, there is an argument to be made that you're letting yourself rest, your mind rest, your body rest. But I believe that there's, like, when I talk about what I'm referring to by escapism that I'm against is the, like, escapism into, like, fictional worlds, into, like, screens, into fictional books, right? I'm not, like, entirely against it, because then, like, for one, you're a horrible person, and you're just blatantly wrong. because it's nice to, and I'll go into the pros of escapism, but when it's something that you do that takes up most of your time, then it can become a problem. And it, now, the pros of escapism is that escapism is good when it comes to imagining new possibilities. Science is very good with expressing escapism, like using it for a very valuable purpose, like thought experiments or science fiction that paves the way for new innovation and really inspires us. So those are the... There's more pros to escapism, I bet, but those are the ones that come to mind right now. But I guess it's just I have a vendetta of my own escapism, and it's my own problem I'm trying to work out of, because it's a addiction, a pure addiction. I do it even though I know it's harming me. Yeah, it's all about just finding this fine balance in your life. Like, balance is like embodying balance in your life. That's like the true way to live, is to live a balanced life. Homeostasis is what I'm learning about in biology, which I've learned about in the past. Homeostasis and equilibrium. Funny enough, I'm also learning about equilibrium in chemistry. So it's a fundamental part of nature, is finding balance. And nature is really good at it, at finding balance. Like, nature is a very, very dynamic, but it reaches this homeostatic place where everything, even though there's conflict, it lives in harmony. It's moving about, but there's not like a major stressor that's like shaking up the system and rewriting it. And we see this so many times when things live in like symbiosis, like mutualistic symbiosis, which just means that they're working together, like plants and fungi, where these fungi, they create these bulbs in plant roots called rhizoids, and this provides the plants with nitrogen, most importantly, but I'm pretty sure a few other nutrients as well. And in return, the fungi are given sugar. So they're living in harmony. And we also see another fungal symbiosis when it comes to algae. Lichens are algae mixed with fungus. Now, the obvious benefit is that the algae provides the fungus with sugars from photosynthesis. But what do the fungi produce? Well, it helps propagate the algae species, allowing them to conquer new new lands that they otherwise wouldn't be able to. Yeah, lichens have a special place in my heart because Vancouver Island is so full of lichens. Like, I've seen like entire trees just in regular neighborhoods that are covered in lichens, head or leaves to trunk, instead of like head to toe, leaves to trunk. Obviously not the leaves, because lichens tend to not be able to grow very well in leaves for obvious reasons, or else the lichen would become a parasitic symbiosis. Symbiosis just means the relationship between two or more species, I believe. That was like grade 10 science. So years ago, 2016-ish, 2015 maybe. Yeah, God, I'm such a science nerd. I'd like to do more with science, you know? Like, apply this knowledge more. It's something I've dreamt about being, and I've made attempts to make experiments, but never really worked out. Like, there was this one experiment that I tried to create, like this this complex like way for like this complex like flower pot, but it was this protein jar split in half for the soil, and then there was like this other compartment, and I wanted to like test like ways that like pepper roots could grow. Like, are they able to like grow upward if there's soil and water, and other things that I can do with roots. That was like 5-6 years ago since I tried to do that experiment. Yeah, because what I learned in high school was that learning about our world is one of the most fundamental skills to have. That we live in this world only. So learning as much about it is so important for our growth and our ability to adapt as humans, because humans are masters at adaptation through culture. Yeah, like, it's one of the great things about being human is that we've surpassed our DNA when it comes to adaptation. I believe that some other animals have more, I don't like using the word primitive because it tends to be a derogatory term, but I'll use it in this instance, a more primitive form of culture. Like, we know that crows and other birds, they have their own form of communication, and so do apes and chimps, that they use their own language, primitive form, that's distinct from other groups, and that they're able to use tools Like crows are able to use rocks to open up shells. And chimps are able to like use a stick to like poke down into like a termite hole and then eat the termites. Stuff like that. But humans, as we can all argue, are one of the most sophisticated forms of culture, adaptation through culture. So that's a great gift that each one of us embodies, is our inborn ability to adapt to changing circumstances. There are very little absolutes in our culture. We all do things through predefined rules that we all agree upon. It's why there's a thing called taboo, where you do an action that's against the social protocols that we've all agreed upon. Breaking taboo can be good and it can be bad. Well, it can be beneficial and it can be harmful. Because certain social rules can be put in place for survival reasons. For example, like the easiest example that I can think of right now is like, don't wander at night. In certain places, wandering at night can be deadly. So if you're a person wandering at night, then it's like, who the frick is this person, right? It's a very simplistic way to put it. Yeah. Wow. This is where there's that song with the don't really know it. This is where my mind has gone to from what? Oh yeah, like originally talking about all sorts of things like not letting yourself down. But this is the beauty of conversation, or just letting the mind wander, is to just go off on these great ideas. I have a friend who's very dear to me, that whenever she comes over, we tend to just sit at the beach and I just go off on these long narrations, and it feels great just to dispel all of this exposition about what I think about. I don't always have a good opportunity to talk this much, because so many people that I'm around like to talk so much. And it's like, well, I think about this. Yeah, it's partly my fault, because like I have this one friend who likes to talk a lot, but she's like, oh, like, interrupt me when I'm talking so much. Like I know I talk a lot, So if you have something to say, just break me in conversation and tell me what you have to say. And it's something I need to do more of. It's just I have sisters that are very adamant with not interrupting them while they're speaking. Like they talk a lot, and if you try to say something when they're like in this monologue, then they'll get mad at you and saying that you're not giving them an opportunity to express what's on their mind. But like growing up, what I appreciate about conversation is that you can break in to like what someone's talking about to talk about a point that they're saying, and it creates a more dynamic form of communication if you do it respectively. If you're not doing it excessively, um, it's a very tricky tightrope to balance. But if you know what you're doing, then you can do it. You can do it well. Obviously, that's a given. Yeah, good. It's been 30 minutes since I started. It really doesn't feel that long, because I guess this is what I enjoy doing. What I also enjoy doing is traveling. It's something I want to do. I'm wanting to do more of, because I'm much more happy and I have so much more energy when I'm out traveling. Like I'm amazed about how good I feel and how like I'm ready to just go place to place. I'm ready. You know? Like whenever I'm in Vancouver, I feel so good. Because I'm going from A to B, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And it's like when I'm at home, it's like, it feels like I'm just sitting around. I'm not doing anything. It doesn't feel good being at home. So something I need to do more of is find more things I can do to get out. I don't know. Something I'm looking into is a way for me to live life simply just by traveling. Because I bought this book and I only got through like the first chapter. Traveling the world on $50 a day. Now that book was, I just heard a phone going off. Strange. That book was written years ago, like early 2010, like the early 2010s. I don't really know how to say it properly. Like the second decade of the 2000s. So 00 would be like the first decade, and then 10 would be the second decade. Anyways, it's an intriguing idea that I'm exploring into, because I realize that I can't live life just being in one place. I need to get out and explore, just like my childhood, like just like what I wanted to do as a child. Whenever I went on nature walks with my parents, it's like I always wanted to like explore everything. Yeah. So it's just like finding what makes you happy in life and pursuing it. And doing what I'm doing now isn't what's making me happy. It's yeah, what I'm doing now, I'll just fall into familiar patterns with slight variations. So it's like living Groundhog Day for years, but like not learning very much from it. Or it's like you're on like a time loop. You know, like a few years ago, I made a note in my journal expressing how, because I got this idea from watching TV shows like Lucifer, where I guess it's also kind of like trauma, where like people who have trauma, they relive the memory of the traumatic event over and over again in their head. And with hell loops, a person is living their worst day over and over again. And when I'm in a really bad place, I'm just living the same terrible day over and over again. And ultimately, I acknowledged that it was my choice to do that, because I just stuck with what was safe. Where was I going with this? Something about like me needing to get out and say sayonara to this life that I've been living. Wow. If you've made it this far in this video, congratulations. If you make a comment saying that you made it this far without like scrolling to this point in this video, then I'll give you a heart. A heart thing in the YouTube comments. Now, this is a very long video, so unlike the 15-minute videos I've been posting, so this is mostly for me to just create these blogs that maybe I can look back on in the future. But I think this will be it for this video. So, if you like my voice and like what I have to say, leave a like, maybe subscribe, or not. It doesn't really matter. It just makes me happy. Oh, that felt good. Oh. I have like a crooked neck where my head like tends to slant to the left. So I always have to like stretch my neck. Yeah, I had that ever since I was a kid, where my head would always like slightly tilt to the left. In photos, people will always have to like correct me, like keep your head straight. And like naturally it feels like my head is straight, but it's not. Just one of the weird quirks I have. I have a friend who has so many weird quirks about their body. Like joint quirks. It's quite cool. But anyways, you'll see me in the next video I post. Probably.
because this channel is all about me. Makes me feel special. Anyways, we hit the 40 mark, the 40-minute mark. See ya.